So today marks the 25th anniversary of the Pokemon franchise, and that is crazy to me. I have a long history with this series, and I love it so much. Pokemon means the world to me, really. So I thought today would be a perfect time to kind of take a stroll down memory lane, as it were, and recount my experiences with the franchise, the ups, the downs, the in-betweens, and just share my memories of Pokemon with you. Because I have such a long history with this franchise, this is going to be a longer video than usual, so grab some snacks, grab a drink, get comfortable, and join me as I recount my memories of Pokemon. So growing up in the turn of the millennium, I had just barely missed the Pokemon craze of the 90s, and a craze that was. You guys think Minecraft or Fortnite is big nowadays? Pokemon was like 10 times bigger back then. Everywhere. And I don't envy being a parent of a kid during the Pokemania era, because you know how PS5s are pretty much impossible to come by nowadays. That was every Pokemon thing. Cards, plushes, games, nothing. It was all sold out because it was in such high demand. But by the time I was old enough to know what a Caterpie was, the Pokemon craze had kind of died down a little bit. People at my school were even talking about it, and even my older brother got in on the hype. But 3-year-old me decided that he wasn't much of a bandwagon joiner. No, he was too good for this Pokemon thing. And so, with no prior knowledge or even semblance of what the series was, he decided Pokemon was dumb. I don't need Pokemon, I'm gonna go eat my freaking Spider-Man 2 Sparkly Eye cereal. Catch me on the downstairs counter eating that.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Yeah, I originally figured Pokemon was just selling for stupid babies like my older brother, so I kind of skipped out on it. I didn't have any interest in it, I thought it was dumb, but then something changed. So my brother was watching TV up in our grandparents' room, and I walked in, and without saying a word to him, I just kind of turned to look at the screen, and I saw this.
Whoa, Charizard!
And that was when things changed. I asked him, I said, "What is this show? This is awesome." And he said, "Pokemon." That's when things changed, and that Pokemon was the one to do it. Charizard. I know, he's overrated, and I hate Game Freak just as much as you guys do for shoving him into literally everything, because now people are saying Charizard's the worst, he's overrated, and he's not. He's my favorite Pokemon, and I don't want people to hate him. He was the first Pokemon I even remember seeing before I even saw Pikachu or anything like that. It was Charizard. He was the first one. And then I understood what the craze was all about. Now, unfortunately for us, you had to have one of these to play Pokemon at the time. This is a Game Boy Advance. And neither of us had one. But we did have a compromise. We did have a Nintendo 64. And on that Nintendo 64, my dad got us a game. And that game was Pokemon Stadium. This is the actual copy we grew up playing, and as you can see, my older brother thought it was his and wrote his name on it, but it wasn't his, it was ours. We played this game to death. This is how we learned about type matchups, battle mechanics, all that good stuff, and the minigames were a lot of fun. We also had Pokemon VHS tapes at the time that we would rent or just owned, and these are the episodes I watched to death as a kid. My brother and I would also ride our bikes to some of the other kids' houses in the neighborhood who all knew about Pokemon. And that was how we experienced things like Coliseum for the first time. We watched some of the newer movies that were coming out. It was great. It was fantastic. But eventually, we moved away. We moved away from that neighborhood and lost a lot of our friends that we made growing up. And it was kind of, it was kind of lonely when you move into a new neighborhood. So, to compensate for that, to make up for that, I guess, our parents got us both Nintendo DS Lite systems for our first Christmas in our new neighborhood. And I got Transformers, some game Transformers for my DS, but my brother got Pokemon Diamond version, and we were stoked. The DS was a great system for so many reasons, but Pokemon was a pretty big one. Now, because it was my brother's, I didn't get to really play it that much. But I was just happy to have a game system that I could call my own, because I pretty much shared everything growing up, as you do with your younger sibling and older sibling. But the DS was mine, and the Transformers game was mine until my older brother took it while I wasn't looking and gave it away to someone at school. He traded it for a Transformers toy. We, still a sore spot for us. Regardless, I was devastated. That was my game, that was the only game I had. But my brother decided that he wasn't done there, because then he took his Pokemon game and traded it for another Transformers toy. I don't know what his... Why all the Transformers toys, man? But I was bummed out, man. We were both left with DS's with no games to play on them, and it sucked. It really did. But the kid that he traded Pokemon to decided that he wasn't much of a Pokemon fan, and he actually was in my class at the time. So he just gave it to me. He's like, hey, I don't want this anymore, but you can play it. And that's when things got crazy, man. Yep, after being a fan for several years, my first official Pokemon game I owned was Pokemon Diamond version. I played that game to death, man. And suddenly it was like I was indicted into a cult at my school, because everyone else who knew what Pokemon was now knew I had a game, and we would play it together, we'd trade, we'd battle, and I sucked when it came to balancing my team at the time, so not many of my Pokemon were actually good. But it was just so fun to be part of that Pokemon craze at my school for the first time. One of my cousins also actually gave me a used copy of Pokemon Emerald that I could play, and I remember when me and my friends weren't playing pretend Pokemon battles out in the playground, I actually snuck my DS to school, which you weren't allowed to do. And I hid kind of under the playground and was battling Tate and Liza. I have vivid memories of that. Battling Tate and Liza from Pokemon Emerald on my DS under the school playground. Oh man, that was fun. I also have vivid memories of going to the school book fairs and buying those Pokemon handbooks that they used to sell. And my friends and I would like draw the Pokemon that was in the book and cut it out and color it, and then we had these little paper Pokemon figures that we would play with. That's a tongue twister for you. Paper Pokemon figures to play with. I can't even do it. Now at this point I was just full in it, alright? I was watching the show regularly. I was on a road trip with my family, and my cousins would bring their DS's and we'd battle and trade, and some of them actually had the new Pokemon Platinum game that was out at the time. And that was really cool, because this one had more Pokemon, it had Giratina, who's really cool, the Distortion World. That's a good one. That is hard to track down nowadays for a decent price, and I'm glad I have that. A new game also came out for the Nintendo Wii console at the time called Pokemon Battle Revolution, and this was basically like a newer version of Pokemon Stadium, where you could transfer your Pokemon from Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum over to this one and watch them battle in 3D. It's not really as fleshed out as Pokemon Stadium was. There's no mini games or rental Pokemon or anything like that. But it was still a lot of fun to play this. It was cool seeing our Pokemon up on the big screen, and the music in this game is also pretty bopping sometimes. I also remember house sitting for my grandparents one time, and the new Pokemon movie, like Rise of Darkrai, came out, and I watched it and realized I still had a couple hours to go, so I rewound it and watched it again, and I think I almost watched it a third time, but I don't know, maybe I fell asleep. I like that movie. Yes, I was well acquainted with the region of Sinnoh at the time, but my brother and I both felt like it was time for something new. And that something new came in the form of Zach and Cody speaking to us through our television and telling us a prophecy of what was to come.
I play Pokemon Heart Gold version.
I play Pokemon Soul Silver version.
I collect Pokemon, trade them, and engage in heated battle.
Mostly he loses. Like now.
My brother and I looked at each other and knew exactly what we had to do. We both worked really hard doing chores in the few months leading up to release, and in exchange our mom bought us each a copy of the new games. My brother got Pokemon Soul Silver version, and I got Pokemon Heart Gold version. This game. I have such fond memories of this game growing up. My brother and I played these games so much that when our friends would come over, they'd kind of get annoyed at us because all we would do was play these games. But they eventually got their own games, and the hype just kept going from there. Heart Gold is a game that I look back on so fondly. The following Pokemon, seeing the Johto region and brand new graphics, an entire other region that you could explore after you beat the game. This had a lot of stuff in it. I really recommend getting it, but unfortunately it costs more than Bill Murray on the aftermarket, so you could maybe get a reproduction cartridge, but I don't know how well those work, and I don't really think that's legal. But if you can find a way, I recommend that game a lot. It also came with this. This is called the Pokewalker, and this was a pedometer that you would transfer your Pokemon over to, and as you walked around town, they'd gain experience, get stronger, find items. You could even catch Pokemon on this thing and bring them back over to your game. And this reminded a lot of fat kids like myself that we actually did have legs. I took this thing a lot of places, and I remember seeing a lot of older people wearing this thing too, and that was really cool. It was like, yeah, you know, you don't have to leave behind Pokemon once you get a little older. Pokemon's a series for everyone, man. This was really cool. I wish they did this again. They kind of did with Pokemon Go. We'll get to that. So a few years pass, I'm having a lot of fun playing these games. I'm such a big Pokemon fan. And we're on a road trip, my family and I. We stop at a hotel and are settling down for the night. We turn on the television to Cartoon Network and we get a commercial for a new series of Pokemon games coming out. Pokemon Black and White were coming out, and they had new animated sprite graphics. I decided pretty early on that I wanted Pokemon Black version, so for my birthday that year, I got the game and I was really happy. And as I said before, you weren't allowed to take your DS to school, but I was so attached to this game, I remember just taking the little cartridge with me, setting it on my desk, and just kind of admiring it as I did my schoolwork. I'd just kind of glance over at it and smile because it was my brand new Pokemon game and I owned it. And it's kind of weird to say that out loud now, that I would just admire the cartridge, but I think that was subconsciously me trying to prevent my brother from stealing it while I was not looking again. I still don't trust you. I have to admit, I really got into the 5th generation of Pokemon, and I know a lot of people don't like it, and I can definitely understand why. Many felt the Pokemon were too complicated or just ugly looking, and I definitely agree. A lot of them aren't really my favorite. But there are some that I can't imagine the Pokemon series without. Reshiram is probably my favorite legendary Pokemon ever. And when McDonald's was doing tie-in toys at the time, oh gosh, I spent like a whole summer walking to McDonald's and seeing if they had the toys that I could just buy. Because I guess my love for Pokemon overpowered my crippling social anxiety at the time. I don't know what was wrong with me, guys. I just liked Pokemon, alright? Don't judge. Take a seat, walk away. You can't sit if you're walking, and vice versa. I had so much fun with Pokemon Black, and just as much, if not more fun, with its sequel, Pokemon Black 2. I remember in the lead up to this game, they released an animated trailer, and I have to be careful when I watch that thing because it is so good, I kind of want to restart my game every time I watch it. It just perfectly depicted what Pokemon battles always looked like in our heads when we were playing the game. Fun fact, it was also around this time that Octo, or Caden, and I actually met. And Pokemon was a big thing that we bonded over, that we became friends over. Nintendo in general, but Pokemon especially. I can vividly remember battling the champion of this game and seeing the zooming background and the moving sprites and hearing the music and thinking there is no way Pokemon will ever look better than this. Yeah, Pikachu, do your thing.
Your new 3D Pokemon adventure is about to begin. Introducing Pokemon X and Pokemon Y.
The day after that trailer dropped, I walked into school and Caden and I absolutely freaked out. We were so excited for this one, and we pretty early on decided that we both wanted to get Pokemon Y because, you know, cool dragon over deer. We were also really excited to see the new starters. I fell in love with Fennekin, and basically that was all I would draw in my sketchbooks at the time was Pokemon and Fennekin and Pokemon Y stuff and all the new information they gave us. This was a big game for us. This was hype to the max. We both pre-ordered this game, and the day that we went to pick it up, I played my DS until it died. It was nuts. It was so exciting. We were blown away by the 3D graphics. It was a lot of fun. I remember so much about my first time playing this game. I remember catching all the Pokemon that you could in the post-game. I remember how excited I was to be able to customize a trainer to look like me. And I remember, late at night, playing under the covers so that my mom wouldn't walk in and see me. And I was exploring the city, and I went into that one building. You know where this is going. Pitch black, no sound, ghost girl, and my heart just like dropped. I was terrified. I saved the game right after, shut my DS, and I had like tears in my eyes because it was like so scary and I didn't expect Pokemon to hurt me this way. And I just, oh my goodness, it took me a second to play the game after that. We played that game a lot, and I really enjoyed Mega Evolution. I thought that was a cool addition to the games that added to new strategies you could build. Now, a lot of people think that X and Y is kind of half-baked because, you know, there's not much of a post-game. They thought it was pretty easy. But I can excuse Game Freak for the most part. I mean, they had to create high-detail models for these Pokemon and make nice animations for all of them. But I still enjoy those games, and I think they're pretty good. So after years of speculation, we actually got confirmed remakes for Ruby and Sapphire. And that was pretty exciting. I had played Emerald growing up, so I was pretty acquainted with the Hoenn region, and I was excited to go back there in 3D, glorious 3D. They released another one of those animated trailers, and while it's really nice, in my opinion it focuses a little too much on the new Mega Evolutions that were coming out and feels more like a commercial than the last one did. The last one kind of just gave a brief overview of what the story was going to be like, and this one was more so just, hey, look at these new Pokemon you can get. But still a cool trailer nonetheless. So I had to think about which one of these games I was going to get, Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire. But really, I had no question in my mind. I really like the color red, fire is my favorite Pokemon type, so it was no surprise to anyone that yeah, I got Alpha Sapphire. Yeah, I decided to change things up and go for the game that I thought appealed a little less to me. But it was actually a great decision. I like Latios a lot more than Latios, and if you watched my Wind Waker video, you know how much I hate the ocean, and Team Aqua is a team that wants to basically make the entire planet one big ocean. Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? It was really satisfying getting to beat them. It was also a lot of fun playing the post-game, the Delta episode. You get to battle and catch Rayquaza, battle Deoxys in space, it's so cool. You also get to meet Zinnia, who's a really cool character and in my opinion has probably the best battle theme in any of the Pokemon games. Overall, I loved these remakes. I know a lot of people have the same issues that they did in X and Y, but in my opinion, these are great ways to experience Pokemon. Now, things got crazy in 2016. Nintendo released this little time capsule trailer for Pokemon that kind of showed off growth and how the series has changed throughout the years, making us all super nostalgic. But they ended the trailer with this line.
It all comes together in an all-new Pokemon adventure. Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon.
It all comes together. What did that mean? It was crazy. Caden and I spent so much time thinking about what that could possibly mean. Were they bringing all the regions to this next game? Were they adding like the big time hopping thing? It was nuts. It was the 20th anniversary of Pokemon, and they promised that things were all going to come together. Very exciting. But the game wasn't coming out till the end of the year. So, until then, we had a different game that we could enjoy. I think you know which one I'm talking about. The world was taken by storm that summer, and the name of that storm was Pokemon Go. My family was on a multi-state road trip when it came out, and when it did, my cousins and I downloaded it, and we would just kind of run off from our family and go catch Pokemon and battle gyms. We'd run off and go do Pokemon stuff. It was so fun. It was so cool getting to catch Pokemon in the real world. Now at first I thought this was just going to be a thing between my friends and I, and maybe my cousins. But when I got back from that trip, I was honestly shocked to see how many people were using this game, were playing this game and catching Pokemon all across the world. It was seriously like being transported into that world. People were playing route music on their phones as they walked. I saw people in parks catching Pokemon together. But it was cool seeing people remember how fun Pokemon could be, because I think it was kind of dying down a bit. But 2016, as I'm sure you remember, was just massive Pokemon resurgence. In my opinion, that's the closest we ever got to peace on planet Earth. I do miss those days. But when Pokemon Sun and Moon finally did come out at the end of the year, it was honestly disappointing. The Alola region was nice from an aesthetic standpoint, but the routes were really small and linear, and most of the characters weren't all that interesting or memorable to me. And while the starter Pokemon looked nice, most, if not all, of their final evolution forms were pretty awful in my opinion. There is no Pokemon I despise more on this planet than Incineroar. I don't need to explain myself. I was also upset that they pretty much got rid of Mega Evolution in this game. It's there, but it is not as prevalent as it used to be because they wanted to replace it with their new mechanic, the Z moves, I think. And it sucked. It wasn't very fun because so many people that had built their teams around using Mega Evolution were now pretty much having to relearn new strategies and techniques and mechanics, and the game overall was just not the 20th anniversary surprise that we all wanted it to be. It just kind of felt, this one in my opinion, felt half-baked. Now I did spend a lot of time actually beating this game, but when I did I just kind of felt empty afterwards, and I really didn't love it. I really don't like Ultra Beasts and all this new stuff they were just kind of throwing in for no reason. And it looked like they were only going to push that further in their new game, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And I didn't buy it when it came out. Now, I eventually did pick it up at a discounted price, but I, to this day, haven't beat this one. I'm only about an hour in, maybe. It's kind of sad, because I love Pokemon, but this one just doesn't hook me like they used to. So why did I buy it at all? Well, because I'm a Pokemon fan, and I want to support the series, and I felt like, if I supported their current project, that they would make a better one in the future, and that was a stupid thing to think, because if you support something you don't like, you're not going to get anything better. That's just how it works. But that was on the 3DS. I'm sure when the Switch games came out, they'd be a million times bigger and better than this. In fact, the next games they announced were for the Switch, and they were remakes of Pokemon Yellow for the original Game Boy. They weren't like main series games, but, that was still exciting. Those games were Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu, and Eevee. I got Pikachu because I hate myself. Yeah, apparently everyone decided that Eevee was the better one, and Pikachu, if you got Pikachu, man, what an amateur. But it's Pikachu. You can't hate Pikachu. In terms of actual enjoyment of these games, I think they look nice. The art style is really appealing, and I like the cutscenes. But they based the gameplay off of Pokemon Go, which works for mobile games. But when I'm playing a Pokemon game on my Nintendo Switch, I don't really want to do the Pokemon Go catching minigame. I just don't. That's all it is. But I still had fun with this game. I liked how you could use two controllers and play with someone else. My brother and I got a lot of fun out of doing that. And I think this game is mostly for people that got into Pokemon because of Pokemon Go, but maybe the main series games were too complex, so they wanted something easier to get into, and this works for that. I'm fine with that. Me though, it's hit or miss, this one. It's alright. But you know what, that's okay, because we have main series games coming to the Switch, and these are going to be huge. I mean, Mario went with Mario Odyssey, that was a big game for the Switch. Breath of the Wild, oh my gosh, what a game, what a way to jump onto the Switch. How is Pokemon going to do it? We all know what happened next, and I don't need to reiterate any of it. But I do remember becoming more and more disappointed with every new piece of news I heard about. And I'm not even talking about all the Pokemon not being in the game. That's fine to me, as long as they're animated well, but they're not. And after seeing how easy it was for Game Freak to lie to our faces and to cut corners and recycle animations, I couldn't morally support these games. I couldn't support those kind of business practices, so I had to vote with my wallet on this one. I enjoy Pokemon. I'm wearing a Pokemon shirt. I like this series. But, that's a big but, I have to vote with my wallet. As I get older and money becomes more important to me, I can't just, standing in front of all this crap. As I've gotten older, money has become more important to me. I have bills to pay, and I couldn't just throw money at things that I didn't think I'd enjoy. It just seems like a waste. Now, my tinfoil hat theory for these games is, you know how you have 3DS and new 3DS, and how games like Xenoblade Chronicles 3D would only run on new 3DS hardware, right? I have a theory, and it's just a theory, I have no proof for this, but my theory is that Pokemon Sword and Shield started out as an exclusive game for new 3DS hardware that they just kind of ported onto Nintendo Switch. Because if you compare the quality and scope of these games with something on the new 3DS like Xenoblade, they're really similar. Though I think Xenoblade is probably bigger and better. It's just me. Regardless of anything like that, I didn't buy these ones. I didn't. My brothers did. So I have played it, and my honest opinion is that it's Pokemon. It's still Pokemon. It's fun to battle and train Pokemon, but it's just not the Pokemon it should be. It isn't as fun. It isn't as rewarding for me. I don't feel good playing this one, which is how I felt with Ultra Sun and even Sun, and it's just a shame, you know? Now, one cool thing I do have to say is that this game has gotten my sister-in-law into Pokemon, and that's really cool. She has a lot of fun doing raid battles and catching shiny Pokemon, and I think it's neat that I can talk about Pokemon with her now, and that's just, it's cool. I like that. But me personally, I had to skip on these ones. Well, that brings us to today, the 25th anniversary of Pokemon. This has been a pretty crazy ride for me. Lots of ups and downs, lots of joys and frustrations, but at the end of the day, my memories of Pokemon are some of the fondest memories I have in my life. This series has changed my life in ways that nothing else really ever has. I'll never forget watching the show growing up, or the movies, or the late night heated battles between friends at sleepovers. The pure, unbridled excitement leading up to new games and their releases. Having this really easy way to connect with people around me was great for a kid who was as shy as I was back in the day. I wouldn't have half the friends I do nowadays if it weren't for Pokemon. In fact, I want to show you something real quick. This is a crocheted Charizard. Hand crocheted by one of my friends and given to me. How did I meet this person? Well, we were in school together and we talked about Pokemon. That was how we became friends. Oh crap, I think they actually also gave me this shirt. Thank you. You're a great friend. I like this thing a lot. I love, always have loved, and always will love Pokemon. Happy 25th birthday, old friend. Here's to 25 more. But I have to tell you, if you mess up the Diamond and Pearl remakes, if you screw them up, if you ruin them by adding some crazy new gimmick or Dynamaxing, Gigantamaxing, whatever it is, if you ruin the games that got me into the Pokemon franchise, I'll kill you. Love ya.